Hey everybody, it's Kimberly Moore, Remax Results, the DVC team. We're here on Tuesday's Tips with Kimberly, and today I have a lender with me, and he's going to answer 5 questions that maybe you don't know anything about. When I work with my buyers, they ask me a lot of questions, and my first thing is to say, if it's got anything to do with financing, you need to speak to your lender. So this is Aaron Oliver. He's with Amec Loans. I work with him a lot, and I suckered him into coming in here and doing this with me. So, Aaron, I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and I know you got the answers to all these. So, the first one, let's just go with FHA. FHA requirements and first-time home buyers. Why is that such a great loan for a first-time home buyer?
FHA loan is a government-backed loan. It's good for a first-time home buyer generally because the debt-to-income ratios are more flexible. The down payment is lower. 3.5% down is the minimum down payment, and also the credit scores.
Okay.
We can go down to 620, perhaps lower, depending on the scenario.
Okay, that's great. Okay, and the next one, you kind of touched on that already, but the debt-to-income ratio. A lot of people don't really understand what that is.
Sure. Debt-to-income ratio is a ratio. You divide the gross income and the net, or the liabilities, including the mortgage payments, all liabilities on credit reports. So if you have a $4,000 gross income per month and all your liabilities add up to $2,000, your debt-to-income ratio would be 50%. So,
way too high.
Yes, but on FHA, we do see debt-to-income ratios go over 50% sometimes.
Okay.
Depending on the scenario, with good credit, the higher debt-to-income ratios and everything else, or more down payment. So it's more flexible, so it doesn't have a strict cutoff at like 45%.
Well, and I know with buyers that we've worked with before, you've been able to help them kind of move things around, so or pay this little bill off, and they don't really even realize that, hey, that's only $200, but it's making a big difference.
Yes.
So you can help them kind of repair it to get their credit scores up.
$200 payment a month, if that was eliminated from a credit score, would give you about $40,000 more buying power.
I didn't know that, so now you know.
So.
All right, so my next one was FHA requires a 3.5% down. And a lot of people, I think it comes to sticker shock, they don't realize that that's money that they have to have.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the 3.5% down, so for example, if you were buying a $200,000 home, it would be $7,000 down. So you would need $7,000 down less the earnest money that you paid up front. So
Say $1,000.
if you put $1,000 down at the closing, you'd have to bring in $6,000. Okay.
Okay.
Assuming that the sellers paid the closing costs, you can negotiate that in the sales price. There are opportunities for gift funds.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have the money, then a family member, a direct family member, can gift you that money.
But and I've had people say, well, my boss, my friend, but it needs to be a family member if you're going to get gift funds.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So the closing costs we went through, mortgage insurance. A lot of people, especially first-time home buyers, they don't really understand mortgage insurance.
Sure.
They're like, well, isn't that my insurance on my home? No, that's not what that is.
That is not. There's nothing wrong with mortgage insurance. There's a lot of people don't like mortgage insurance and don't like to pay it. But many years ago, you had to put 20% down in your house, or you couldn't buy a home. They eliminated that rule where you can put less money down, but then there's obviously more risk to the investor, so they created mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance really isn't that bad. It's 0.85% annually, per month. But it eliminates the rules to have to put 20% down.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
So that mortgage insurance on an FHA mortgage is on there for the life of the loan, but normally somebody doesn't have their loan for 30 years. You're
Right.
either gonna sell your house or refinance during that period of time.
And when you do
And you
refinance
do.
it, you can refinance that
Yes.
off.
So what happens is a lot of times people will own a home for 5 years, or 5, 6, 7 years or whatnot. They sell their home, they take that equity and buy a new house and put 20% down. And so on the second home, they.
So it just kind of goes without saying then.
That's correct.
one other thing. I do know that you have down payment assistance for people that need a little bit extra. Can you kind of go over that too?
Sure. So using the example of a $200,000 home
Yep.
again, the FHA requirements are 3.5% down. And so that's $7,000. You can work with the state of Minnesota, and there are the other various programs out there for down payment assistance, but state of Minnesota is the most common. They will help you with a down payment assistance loan up to $8,000 or $15,000 depending on what we're looking for. But they will assist you with that down payment assistance. The only requirements are for the down payment is you are required to invest $1,000 into the transaction.
Okay, so
so-
basically the earnest money that they
Correct.
put down
Yes.
would cover that for the down payment assistance.
Mhm.
And just so, just to make it easier, you would have your mortgage, but this down payment assistance is like a little extra. It's a side mortgage, correct? I mean, you pay that
Yes.
separately.
If depending on many different variables, but the $8,000 limit is for what's called the deferred no
Mhm.
interest payment. So you can take up to an $8,000 loan, and not pay any payments or interest on that throughout the life of when you have that mortgage. Now, when you sell or refinance, that has to be paid out.
Okay,
If you need more than $8,000, it does have a payment involved
Okay.
in there.
I didn't know
But it also keeps you either to keep money in your pocket when buying a home,
Right.
or if you don't have the money, you can still buy a home with
Okay.
$1,000.
so I know this is all very confusing, and when I speak with my buyers, that's why when you ask me financing questions, I always tell you, get a hold of your lender. A lot of times me and Aaron work together, so I can give him a call and say, hey, what's the scoop? But you need to speak to your lender about financial issues, because if I tell you something and it's wrong, that's what you're going to remember. So I think that's it. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer, just put it in the comment below and I'll address it later. Again, this is Erin Oliver with Emic Loans, and it's Kimberly Moore with the DVC team. Check you later.
Thanks.